Okay, Jim, my big chicken dinner friend.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. So I got a bio here I'm going to read for you. Jim Penniston, United States Air Force Security Forces, retired. Jim entered the Air Force in 1973 and served over 20 years. He was assigned to the Strategic Air Command Elite Guard in Omaha, Nebraska, providing security for general officers, congressmen, foreign heads of state, and the president and members of his cabinet. Jim has held key assignments throughout the world, including service in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. He wrote defense, security, counter-terrorism, and contingency plans for the Air Force and NATO. Additionally, he's provided security support for Air Force One and other classified aircraft weapon systems. For the majority of his 20-year career, he's held a U.S. top secret BISCI and a NATO top secret cosmic ATOMAL, I believe I said that right, security clearance. Jim and his team were the first responders to a security investigation of a craft of unknown origin located just outside RAF Woodbridge in England in December of 1980. That case, now known as the Rendlesham Forest Incident, is the most documented account in military history. Jim's a frequent lecturer and presenter at numerous MUFON and other related events and conferences of similar subject matter, and has been a speaker at 2 National Press Club events. His first responders account of the Rendlesham Forest Incident has been featured worldwide on numerous television and radio programs. And in addition, Jim is an author and has been a contributor to other books concerning the phenomena. So let me stop sharing here, Jim.
Please do.
And
Hi. Can you see me okay? Hear me okay? Yep. All that.
Yeah, we got you, Jim. It's all yours. Floor is yours, my friend.
Well, that's really a self-serving introduction. Really, the incident is about just Rendlesham. It's not about any individual or anybody that was doing their job that night. It was just us doing our job, doing what the taxpayer paid us to do, and more. Honestly, I don't know. Will I be able to hear the questions from people, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, I was muted there. Yes, you'll absolutely be able to hear.
Okay, and they can jump in anytime. I don't care. I guess I need to know if on a scale of 10 being the most advanced part of the Rendlesham Forest Incident, to 1, the basic part of the Rendlesham Forest Incident, where does your audience fit in?
Show of hands, where are y'all at? 9, more than 5, better than 5, 6-ish, less than that.
Okay.
No idea what he's talking about. Okay, we got a few people here who have no idea.
Really? Oh, they need to probably get a book. They need to get a book or something.
That's why we have you here today, Jim.
Well, okay, I can go ahead and start. Try to tell you where, Rendlesham is. Well, the incident took place on Boxing Day, December 26, 1980, and I was stationed at a twin base in England, and it was approximately 60 miles northeast of London, if that helps you out. The twin bases were actually ran by one base, okay, Bentwaters, and that's where the main operating base was. And that night I was in charge of security for Woodbridge base, and that's where the incident started. The bases are separated by about 3 miles. There's approximately 10,000 people what was on the base at the time, and that included dependents and active duty. We had 5 squadrons of A-10s, if you guys care about that. And our wartime mission was to go ahead and fly to the Warsaw Pact nations at the time and stop 5,000 tanks from coming over the Rhine. We had forward operating locations in Germany and other locations in Europe, and we were at the height of the Cold War. We had a lot of terrorism at that time, but it's not the kind of terrorism that we have today. I don't know. They were radical, like Red Brigade, Black September. I don't know if you guys are old enough to even remember those. The RA, stuff like that. So we were constantly being, looked at and watched by those organizations. And for the most part, we were targets of opportunity. So does everybody got a pretty general idea about the basis?
Yep, I think
Okay.
so.
I don't want to go too far, long in that. Anyway, I was working as flight chief that night, and I got a call to go to the East Gate. There's a patrol out there. They had a situation that they didn't want to discuss on the radio, and so I arrived there, and I contacted Staff Sergeant Steffens, and he says, I said, "What's going on?" He says, he just pointed over the Rendlesham Forest area. And by the way, the Rendlesham Forest is between the two bases. Okay, just so you know, I don't think I said that. And I looked over in the forest, and it looked like there was a possible aircraft downing, aircraft crash. All the trees were like 6 feet apart, so nothing could land in it. And so I went on the direct line at the gate there, and I contacted the control center. And when I contact the control center, all this happens in 30, 40 seconds. Okay, it's so fast. There's like 5 people on the other end. Okay, and so while I was talking to the controller, I says, "Yeah, it looks like a possible, downed aircraft. I saw on fire." And the other controller was told they had done a coordination with London Heathrow radar and Broadsea, which is Eastern radar, ran by the British. And they triangulated the radar, and they lost contact with an object about 10 minutes earlier over the bases. So everybody pretty much assumed, well, it's probably an aircraft crash. And the only way we could respond at that time was under a status forces agreement, is if there's an emergency situation off base. Okay, otherwise we were pretty much restricted on base. And so I picked 2 other airmen and myself. The flight chief from Bentwaters came over and took my position at Woodbridge, and I started running my checklist for a downed aircraft, which means a plotting board, so you can set up entry control point. There's a lot of things involved with it. And up to that point, just I wasn't a novice to aircraft crash. I mean, I think I'd been at that point in time with 7, 8 years in the service. I think I had about 20 plus, aircraft crashes. And so we headed toward the woods and Rendlesham, if you want to call it that. And when we got to the point where I couldn't take my Jeep any farther, I stopped, put one of the security airmen out, and he was going to do the entry control point for the response force that was going to come. And the other airman came with me on foot, and we went to the edge of the forest. And there was a lot of phenomena going on at that time. Like there was a bright light coming out of the forest. They had physical. It was like physical effects. You could feel like the electricity on your clothing, hair, stuff like that. Anyway, I approached going into the forest, the tree line, and as I went in there, the there was like I'm going to use the word explosion. It wasn't. It was a really bright light when emanated from over the berm. We had berms that were 5 feet high that ran through the woods, and so I hit the ground, uh, knowing there wasn't no explosion. I was just reactive. I got back up, and as I got back up, I could see the light dissipate down, and in the forest floor was above it was a craft uh, that was triangular type in shape, small, uh, not very big, and so I terminated the downed aircraft SRO security response option I was running, and initiated a helping hand situation, which is a possible hostile threat. Our base had priority A, priority B, priority C air resources on it, so that's what we're really concerned about. And initially, that's an up-channel report, by the way. It goes up to the Wing Command Post, then it goes to 3rd Air Force, and 3rd Air Force to MAGCOM, then the Pentagon. And as I started approaching the craft, there was globular light that was running through the craft, colored. It finally slowed down and finally dissipated. It was just a black craft, but there was still light coming out from underneath the craft, a white light. And I continued to make my radio checks on the radio, security checks. I approached the craft, and I had taken pictures up to just entering the forest line there. At that time, we didn't have nothing digital. There was no computers or nothing like that. It was film, and and we actually had the camera for recording like the aircraft crashes, terrorists that we see, or people that we couldn't identify on the perimeter. That's what we used it for. Okay, is everybody with me on this so far? I'm a little bit all over the place on it because I haven't talked about this in years. I haven't.
Thanks for doing it today.
Yeah, and I don't know how much brevity I've used a lot of brevity so far. Believe me.
You got retired Air Force here, so I pretty much understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So what do you do while you're in?
Aircraft maintenance, radio, radar, navigation
Oh,
systems.
okay. So you ever work on A-10s?
No, I was considering cross training. I saw them. I had a nice tour of them down at Davis Mountain.
Oh yeah. Well, it's nice to have a retiree. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring this up. I have friends in Fargo from the service too, so I think they're retired now. I mean, they were in law enforcement, they were in the 911 center, and they did things like that. So I haven't talked to them for a while though.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I approached the craft further, I found that there was like some type of phenomena going on where uh, it was hard to move toward the aircraft, craft, whatever you're gonna call it, and it would be similar to me waist deep in a pool walking through water. That was the resistance. Then, as I approached the craft, I can barely hear the radio relay I had set up. And we had repeating systems all over the base, which shouldn't have been no radio issues at all. I mean, that was odd. And so it was pretty inert. Then it's like I was looking for things. Like I said, I ran out of film. And so I was going to record as much as I can, waiting for a response from the base. And I didn't have nothing to measure it with, so I pasted off. I'm looking for things that every aircraft has. Ailerons, intakes and exhausts and, things that make it fly. This thing was void of all that stuff. It was just a black metal, or it had to be metal, but a glass-like material. Okay, as far as shining and stuff and like that, but it's very opaque. So it measured about with the berms. It was a little hard to tell, but I think it was like maybe 6.5 feet tall from the dorsal area of the craft to the front in height, and it also was intriguing about the light on the bottom. So I was looking at that and wondering how it was, sitting in the forest. I had a lot of questions. I mean, how did it fly through all these close-knit trees, to land in this clearing inside the forest? I mean, that was one of my major things I couldn't figure out. There's a lot of things I couldn't figure out. And so I looked underneath the craft, couldn't see no landing gear, but it looked like it was fixed somehow above the forest floor, not moving. So I pushed it to see if it would move. I mean, if you had like a car out there and you tried to push it, it'd move something like a half-inch, something. This didn't move at all. It was pretty solid. And then I walked around to do a 360 on it. And I did that on the other side. Oh yeah, I was going to say there's also this craft only measured like 9 feet long. That's what I paced off, and I'm doing it by a long pace of myself. I have no measuring stuff. And I got around to the other side. There was encryption on the side, which I was actually felt pretty good, because I figured it might say, NASA, something like that, some kind of experimental maybe. I was hoping for that, and but it wasn't. It was a pictorial type glyphs that were written on the craft. They measured. I got my hands on it, you can see it, but they stretch out 6 feet, and these things stretched out. There were 6 of them, about 6 feet. They were the height of my hand, so about 6 inches. That was a row of them. Then there's a larger one over top the other 5, and that is the one with the circle and the triangle in it. So I went back around. I went and said, I tried to do more radio communications. I assumed that they were hearing me. I just couldn't hear them. And so what I did is I walked back around because I was intrigued by those markings. And the craft, as I ran my hand across it, it was very smooth. It was like it was smooth as glass. It wasn't glass, it was metal. And I was going over the glyphs and stuff like that, and that large one on top really fascinated me. So, and when I went over the glyphs, by the way, it felt like going from smooth glass to like sandpaper. Okay, like it was etched in there. And so then I touched the top glyph, and it was just pure white light. I mean, I couldn't see nothing at all. And I'm using the term light. It's not light. I'll explain that later. And during that time, it was just a flash of, pulsating light and all this stuff. And I got my senses again, didn't I? Just took my hand off and it was over. And the reason it wasn't light is because out in that forest, it was dark, okay, except for that light underneath the craft. And I had my night vision instantaneously. So, you know, if it was light, I wouldn't have gained that for like another 30, 40 minutes, you know, but I could see completely around the craft. Then there was movement inside the craft again with the lights. I back off. I didn't know why. I actually thought I activated something, like it was going to explode or something like that. It was going to explode maybe. So I got down on the ground, and all it did was, you know, what the lights started going faster into the fabric of that craft, and then it slowly, silently lifted off, went up through the trees, up to the canopy of the forest. It turned slightly to the right, and it was gone. And if that wasn't enough, we were told to, well, I had my radio communication back with the sentry I put up there at the entry control point at that time. And then the other guy that was over to my right about 20 feet, he took off after it. And first of all, the woods was dark. And so I, you know, to maintain that two-person integrity, I went after him. And I think we went over a couple fences, through a muddy field. And I mean, even though I was like 26, 27 years old, I was a little bit too much for me. I mean, I was getting winded. I finally caught up to him. I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He says, "Well, I was chasing the craft." "Where? Where is it?" "I don't see it." He let, you know, it already left. He goes, "No, no." And he points over on the other side of me. He points toward the coast. And so, "What are you looking at?" And he said, "Well, look down my arm." So I looked down his arm where he's pointing. And it's a lighthouse. That's a lighthouse. I mean, we worked around that shit for what, you know, 6 months. He didn't know what the hell a lighthouse looked like. I don't know. I says, and I'm getting ready to chew his ass. That's what I'm going to do, because I wasn't happy with him. Because I wanted to report back to the base as fast as I could. And we're wasting time. And as I looked up over the other part of the Rendlesham, which is, well, I can't remember what they call it. I think it's something green, Capri green, or something like that. And it was still hovering over the craft. It was still hovering over the forest, but it was at a distance. And then it slowly, and I'm going to guess because it's really hard to tell how fast the aircraft is going from the ground. Okay, I was guessing it was probably, you know, very slow, like 300 miles an hour. You know, maybe 350. And I'm basing that about my observation from previous aircraft. Okay, that's what I was doing. And then it was gone. And that was actually the incident. The rest of it's all the debriefing and all the things that are associated with. So, anybody got a question about it? That's pretty much it. You know, a lot of brevity. I'll tell you why it's a lot of brevity. I'll tell you what. And how many of you have read the Rendlesham Enigma book? None.
I saw it. I was going to read it, but then we started doing some
This
work
one.
in the house. Yeah.
This book.
I
have
read
it.
it.
Yeah.
This book is 720 pages long. This book is the definitive book on Rendlesham. Everything in it is everything I know, okay, or don't know. It also carries on the cover up. It covers a lot of detail. And just so you don't have to take my word for it, each chapter has evidentiary endnotes, chapter endnotes for each chapter. So it backs up everything that's being said. And now you're going to say, "Well, Jim, how do you have such detail in it?" Well, I had a sergeant tell me when I first went in the Air Force, you need to cover your ass all the time. That's what he told me. And I said, well, how do you do that? He says, keep a journal. Well, for 21 years, I kept journals, everything that happened for 21 years. And I used them to write the detail in the book because it's really nice. You pull a journal entry open, you read it, you get recall. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember exactly how that happened. And I think anybody else can relate to that too if you do that kind of thing. I think you got to be a pack rat for with those journals. But I'm going to tell you what, that sergeant was right. It covered my ass on a lot of things that happened in the Air Force. You know, someone say, "Oh, we told you last year," like the wing commander. I did the base security councils. That's it's made up all the 06s on the base, the colonels, and this once a year, and it's for the security of the base and in operating base and your forward operating bases and stuff like that. And anyway, and I'll tell you what, it was General Williams, who's at the time Colonel Williams, the wing commander, and I was getting ready for a base security council meeting, and I says, the DCM didn't say that. It said something last year that, and I told him what he said verbatim. And he goes, "You kept records like that?" And I go, "Yeah." And he says, "Great." He said, "Give me a cheat sheet." Everybody, people in the Air Force will know what those are. Cheat sheet, he says, for the meeting. And so here's Colonel Williams talking to DCM. He says, "Last year you said you were going to do this." He says, "Why isn't it done?" And so it made Colonel Williams look brilliant, and it made the DCM accountable. So it paid off. Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, actually, General Williams, when I met him back in Tucson, we were writing this book, and we talked about that. We talked about this stuff, so it's pretty nice. Yeah, I see that they pulled up a copy of what was that book? The first one, Encountering Rendlesham Forest. Okay, that had not much in there. All that was to introduce it to the United States, the story. I had like 150 pages that didn't go in there, and Gary, my co-author in this book, he had 60 or 70 pages, and 70 pages, and so Nick Pope was the lead author, and I said, "Nick," I said, "I got all these pages to go in there." And he said, "Oh no," he said, "I already sent all the stuff off." He said, "We can't change it." It was a New York publisher. If you're writing a book, never get a New York publisher, okay? They got too many restrictions, too many deadlines. Ugh. It's not very, not unless you got a book all ready to go, I think. And so Nick says, "Jim, what you need to do is write your own book." So that's why I wrote the Rendlesham Enigma. And that's why I haven't been talking about it. I can't remember. Do you guys remember? I'm talking to Anna or you, Jerry. When I was up at the Minneapolis for that MUFON.
We sure
When was
do.
it? When was that?
That was 2019.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, was it 2019? Oh,
Yep.
so this book was. Wonder why I didn't bring that book.
I don't think you had finished it yet because I remember you talking about it.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a real nice chapter that MUFON up there, by the way. I'm sure you guys are just as good.
Well, Jim, I will say this. I actually got that book and read it cover to cover, and it is probably one of the most detailed books I have ever read in my life. And being an investigator, you can probably imagine that I really appreciated that. There are notes and notations on the notations, and pretty much anything you would really want to know is in that book, and along with a lot of clarification from some things that might not have been accurate that you might have read. So I really appreciated that. We will definitely
Yeah,
have it
you
on
know,
our website.
thank you, Anna. But you know, I didn't always paint myself in a good picture. It's honest. Let me tell you, because I didn't always look that good in it either. But I said, well, you know what? The public probably wants to hear the exact truth, and that's what it is. So, and since you read the book, one of the interesting parts is how they replaced a major, the squadron commander, with a colonel. Not far after that incident, and that was Colonel Highbush. Excellent officer. That's a great story in there, and how the Air Force actually watched over me. I mean, it took care of me, you know. So, and anybody that sits there and says, "Oh, they're out to get me," they're dodging bullets, and that's all bullshit. Anybody tells you that from the Air Force don't do that. Okay. So I'm glad you read the book, and that's why the detail. I tell you what, it's a great book. If you get the audio part, I think that's free anyway, since you bought the book. The audio is 42 hours long.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I know. You better be crossing the United States or something on a long trip or something to listen to that, or a lot of yard work. I don't know. The other thing is with Rendlesham, I like to say this because I don't like people making money off the government. I don't like people making money off stuff that happened while we're working. All my book proceeds, if I get honorariums and stuff, film or documentaries, all that goes to charity. Okay, so it always has. It's going now to. I got like 3 of them I picked. I got one with children that I picked. It's a cancer one, and I got 2 with the military. Wounded warriors stuff.
Yeah, I think the honorarium that we gave you when you came to speak in Minnesota went to Wounded Warriors. So I will attest that that is absolutely true.
Yeah, it either went to Wounded Warriors or that Tunnel of the Towers one. I mean, I usually run them for like a year and with the same charities and that. I did do I have been alternating though. With the children one and with the cancer one. So I think that's a good idea. But anybody makes money off this stuff, they got other motives. All right, remember that it's tainted, and I can't believe how people that have incidents themselves will try to. That's sensational, okay? But then they'll try to sensationalize the story. Why would you do that? Just tell the story what happened, and you don't need to sensationalize it. It's already sensational by itself. I mean, come on.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'm writing this book here, and there's people in North Dakota that helped me that I ran stuff through with the book. This is, because they were working that night, and I did ask them. Because I wanted to acknowledge them in this book. I did ask him, let me put your name in. No. Okay, I said, all I'm doing is saying thank you, and he goes, no. They didn't want their names in. So, and there's a reunion, I think, coming up next year in South Dakota, in Rapid City. And that's going to be one of the things we're going to discuss. Because I can change this since it's on Amazon. I think those people should be recognized, But I got to talk them into it. Some of them have, some of them, are educators. Some of them have, critical jobs now. I guess they don't want to have that kind of publicity. I don't know. Questions? I'm ready for them. You got to jump in here because I'll just keep talking.
We're going to have a lot of questions for you. And so we want to make sure that we're fair to everyone. So we are going to take one question from Grand Rapids, one question from our people online, and go ahead if you'd like and put them in the chats. And if that's a better option for you, and we'll take one question here in Fargo, and we'll just keep going round and round in circles until either Jim decides he's done with us or we're done with the questions. So,
Is there anybody out there, Anna, that's worked with me by chance?
Is anybody that what?
Anybody that's worked with Jim here?
Well, I was there the night it happened, but I was in West Germany. That's my question I was gonna ask.
So
Well, did you? I'll tell you what. One of the things that's in the Enigma book is that there was a down channel alert that came from Air Force, so that he would probably know that. I'm glad I didn't name those forward operating bases like Han, and I would have missed some Elhorn, and there's some other ones, Novernick. I can't remember them all now.
we do have
Yeah.
one person here that was not too far away from you. He was in Germany the night that happened, and he's got a question for you. So we'll probably take his question first once we get to Fargo. Jared, do you want to start there in Grand Rapids?
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, Jim.
Jim's right there. You got to talk over.
Thanks so much for being
So we can see
here.
you
I've got like 8,000 questions here, but
one at a time.
okay. What is your theory as to why the government or military tried to discredit your story? Was it just denying the existence of UFOs or something else?
Discredit it? Well, they were awful supportive. I mean, they put a cover story out because of, I believe, because of what the resources we had on the base, and they just didn't want any attention. The cover story, they spread around the pubs and that, and then nowadays there's witness. They say they're witnesses, and they're really all there is hearing is the cover story. I explained that in the Enigma book how that happened and how the cover-up happened in detail. And I'm not trying to sell the book. I think you can go on, if you're an Amazon Prime member, I think you go on there. I think it's free. Okay. I think you just look at it and see that part. Yeah, it was just convenient. But the Air Force never tried to discredit me. They were very supportive.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think you watch too much Washington stuff and all those hearings. That's all a bunch of false flag stuff, let me tell you.
Hey, Jared, I will have you read off the questions from online because I'm not able to click on that from this computer that belongs to the library. So,
All right, give me a second here. All right.
Well, put your skeptics up first. They're always good. Any skeptic, I like those. I do.
All right. Well,
Everybody has
I'm
a-
sure we'll have a couple. All
Mhm.
right. This is from online. Did you mention your downloads? And if not, can you go over them and what you think about their meaning?
Yes, when I got home, I couldn't go to sleep. And I was compelled to, in a mind's eye, to write them down. I wrote down like 16 pages in a notebook, and I threw the notebook back in my drawer, and I think it got packed. It had to get packed, and it was accidentally seen 30 years later, I think, or something like that. We're doing a film shoot down in Phoenix, and one of the people there asked me about, that was at the film shoot, asked about something on a date or something like that. And I'm looking back, and I went back too far, and all the binary was in there. And that's when I found out what binary code was, by the way. They were just ones and zeros to me. And so anyway, that was published in the first book, the Encounter book, but they're purposely out of order. So if you try to decipher them, you won't be able to.
The way it's written in the book is purposely out of order.
That's what I think, because I numbered them and everything like that. I think the publisher might have screwed it up. Okay. They didn't care. And so, you know, what we did is in this book, we made sure that the actual transcribing of the code is in this book. And the interesting thing is in 2019, in May of 2019, they discovered some type of technology that they found a code within a code. And I'm not an expert on that. It's my co-author. That's why I'm talking very vague about it, because my background is in criminal justice. Okay, I'm not a math person. I'm not a computer person or nothing like that. And he did all the research, but the technology wasn't available to actually find the code within the code until May of 2019. And that's what caused the delay in putting the book out, by the way, with Gary researching it. One of the things that it identifies in the code is a fine structure constant. And that is something that the chances of that being in there, Gary says it's a 1 followed by 13 zeros in one. So it's not an accident, it's in there on purpose. But the interesting part is that it just sat there. You know, even though it was deciphered in like 2010, we didn't have the technology to extract it, which is interesting by itself. Did I answer your question there?
Yeah. So yeah, I think so. I mean, it was an online question.
Well.
So the
Yes.
binder code that's in the new book is exactly as you wrote it down. How did it come to you? Did it come to you when you touched the craft? Did it come to you when you got home? And I mean, and how did you spit this out? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot going on there when I touched the craft. Obviously, I activated some type of communication, okay, by touching it. That's my theory. I don't know that for a fact. Then when I got home, I thought it was part of the trauma. I couldn't sleep or anything like that. And just the trauma, what happened, I couldn't go to the base hospital. What am I going to tell them? Oh, I can't sleep because I seen a craft of unknown origin early this morning. And I mean, look at that. That sounds crazy by itself. They're just going to look at me and say, "Oh, your personal reliability program, which was PRP, oh, that's gone. Your weapons, you can't carry a gun again. We're going to do discharge." That's exactly what they would have done, I thought. And so when I got and I actually pulled the notebook out because I didn't have any other. I was just going to look at the stuff I wrote down because I was doubting stuff, you know, at that point. And then I was like, couldn't sleep, and I was looking through the glyphs and stuff like that. You know, I think I can write those things down. And so I sort of just started with 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. And I started writing them down, and I felt better. I felt a lot better. I said, oh, man. So I just kept writing them down, and then I wrote until I couldn't see them in my mind's eye no more. And right after that, I went to bed, and the next day, everything was okay. There's no trauma from it. Then, you know, that's what I thought it was. I know it's bizarre, but anybody that's been in the military would know that it's probably not healthy to go ahead and go into a hospital and say that kind of stuff to anybody.
Anyone with a specific job, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, we got a question here in Fargo. So I'll let you go ahead, Lon.
Hello, Mr. Penniston. It's finally really great to meet up with you. My name is Lyle Corinto.
Oh,
I'm wondering if you were ever informed or you know of all the events prior to your event and the ones after that event? Because yes, we were initially put on alert. It was called West Germany then. My home base was out of Hanau, 13 clicks
Okay.
east of Frankfurt. And when you mentioned forward area bases, that was within I was in the U.S. Army. I can tell people now, because Ronald Reagan made it public in 1983, that I'm atomic demolition munitions specialist.
Right. Oh, he
12
froze.
Echo.
He froze.
Our nickname
Oh, he
is Betty through
froze.
our British training. Huh?
Can you repeat that? He froze in the middle of that.
Oh, so did you. Sorry. Yeah, but
Oh.
our nickname is backpack nuclear weapons nowadays, but I'm a 12 Echo. That night, our initial mobilization came through our British allies, because as you know, part of our mission, we support our NATO allies. So we were first notified because Her Majesty's Naval Base at Clyde received transmissions from the 3 listening cruiser destroyers off of Northeast Iceland. That was first contact. They were second, you were third. Then they did contact in Belgium. That was okay. They were right north of Manhattan at our storage facilities where we stored our nuclear weapons, because we initially went there because we thought it was Black September, because they had been really persistently naughty at that period of time, as you referred to. I too have the same level of your clearance plus PRP, so I know what you're.
I know right away from what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have the same clearance.
So
Yeah.
we were able to do that, and then this was all coming down through our channels, of course, U.S. Army, but then after they bounced down us, of course, when you take and plot an arc, we thought it was the Warsaw Pact. But then through our advanced listening post on the other side of the curtain, which was the resistance, there was the encounter in Bohemia, and 70 Warsaw Pact personnel were involved in there, because theirs kind of went more violent, and there was an exchange there. And then the next spotting was in what's called Transylvania, part of Romania. And then the last one that we got word of was 2 ships on the Black Sea that were Soviet ships, not Turkish or Romanian. And so this was all coming in through the course of that night. And our second really ramped up call was from you guys, the Air Force there. And because prior to that, it was like hitting allies, up in North Iceland, and then it was British, and all of a sudden they hit American. So that was all going on because before they found out we were still listening on their channels, what we found out was it was actually the best they could count, they being our illustrious CIA and State Department, was 9 different vessels, including yours, of unknown origin is what they're calling. They're calling them vessels, unknown origin. So that would then they found out that that we were, like now on Zoom, it was that version back then, we were hearing all this and everything, and then things got clamped down really tight. So I was wondering if anybody actually ever informed you, as a backup to what you're saying, to, you're very credible, I believe you, that yes, you are part of this mass floating visitation is what I prefer to do, because the only hostile part was in Bohemia, and that's where the Warsaw Pact got,
Right.
There was no such thing as the Cold War. It was hot. It was very hot, and there was nothing about it.
Yeah. I know exactly. I'll tell you what, Lyle, it's
Nothing.
really nice talking.
And so
it's really nice. No, it's really nice talking to you. But I'll tell you what, it's nice talking to somebody that had the same clearance. There was no doubt that I know that your clearance was the same. I mean, and by the way, he did pronounce the NATO top secret ATOMAL, the cosmic ATOMAL, and still he pronounced that wrong. But that's okay. Anyway, there was the comm center at Iraq and Greece that night took a down channel report, and what they would do, and this is now declassified, okay, a down channel report, and what they would do is send that out to all the air bases and other people, and I think you're other people, okay, and
Yeah.
what they had is they had a down channel report change of DEFCON, and it's covered in the book, and it was so good that the staff NCO that he came forward, and I met him and extensive talking with him, and he's legit. The other thing is the verification came from when I was mentioning to Anna about when they replaced Major Zickler, the squadron commander, with Colonel Highbush. Highbush was there maybe a day or two, and I'm working in plans and programs, and they wanted to keep an eye on me, I think, and they put me in plans and programs for the squadron. And so I get a call from the orderly room. They said the new squadron commander wants to see you. Oh shit! So I'm looking at some classified plans like 4102 and those things. I'm looking at them, and I said, "Oh, I'll give him a briefing." That's what I thought I wanted. So I go down to his office and I got him in my arms, and he says, "You must be Sergeant Penniston." I said, "Yes, you must be Colonel Highbush." And he goes, "Yes." He says, "Oh, put that stuff down." And I said, "Okay." So I put it all on his desk. "Do you want a briefing?" He said, "Oh, no, no, no." He says, "You want a cup of coffee?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have one." And so he got a cup of coffee and he sat down and he says, and this is in detail in the book, but he says, "I want you to know, I just came from the Pentagon. That was his previous assignment." And he says, "I read your statement." And he says, "I just want you to know if you need any help or anybody to talk to while anything happens," he says, "you can talk to me." He says, "Not just while we're here at the base," he says, "all while you're in." And I'm in. And we had a good 15, 20-minute conversation. And he'd worked for a place at the Pentagon called the Air Force Security Intelligence. There's no such place. I looked it up. Okay. That's what he told me. There's no such place I could find. And so there's the verification. He actually seen my statement from I originally wrote. He further to make it. I also talked to General Williams in Tucson back in maybe 5 years ago, and we were told to have a fake statement or a false statement to give to, there was under investigation by OSI. I mean, all that stuff, and it wasn't out of the ordinary. It was okay. I mean, he said there's active investigation. Anybody asked about it, here's what you say, and they showed me. And I was talking to General Williams about it, and I says, I just want you to know I was under orders, to be that vague, And he goes, "Jim," he says, "don't worry about it." He said, "We were all under orders." And so there's my verification from, of course, that's, he helped actually. They reviewed the information that's in this book. Colonel Conrad, the base commander, he reviewed it, and actually he was active with it though, and he reviewed matter of fact, the chapters before it was published, and he says, "You got a good book. It's accurate." So,
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening.
a lot of. I tell you what, I love talking. We also had, when I got stationed in Germany too, and we also had the Army on there. We had intel people from the Army, and we also had Patriot missiles at the time, and stuff like that. But I had a nice opportunity to work with my counterpart with the Army. It's pretty nice actually. You You think there'd be a lot of differences. It's just that you guys are in a lot better shape than us.
Yeah,
You-
we're ground pounders, yep.
You're in a lot better shape than the rest of us, so in the Air Force. So that's the only difference I see. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lyle. I appreciate it.
Thank
Nice
you, too.
question.
All right, we'll send it back over to Grand Rapids.
Anybody? Yep, come on up.
Wow. All right. That was a good one. Whoa.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for being with us today. I appreciate everything you've been saying there. I've read several accounts online about the incident and, seen it on Ancient Aliens, Unsealed Alien Files, all that stuff. Just curious, like the craft, the type of craft. Are you familiar with like the TR-3Bs that the military uses?
Yeah.
Okay, was it that kind of a shape, or was it a different kind? And when it went up, did you feel anything if it was silent? But did you feel anything like a radiation or a heat or anything like that? Just curious.
All right. The shape of the craft, it was triangular, but it was small. I mean, 9 feet by 9 feet. There was nothing. The technology can't be replicated. First of all, you got to have all the things that airplanes have to fly, and this is void of them. There was no. The other thing is that technology I didn't understand, and it still hasn't happened today. I mean, to use it. I mean, how does the light, appearance of light, hold up an object solid? I don't know how that works. The craft was completely silent, and there was no air disturbance or anything like that when it lifted off. And there, the other odd thing is it left fast enough that because that was a blink of eye initially when it left, and there was no sonic boom or nothing like that. So that didn't. I don't know why they didn't have that. The second time I observed it, it was slow at 300, maybe 350 miles an hour. Did I answer that question for you, or you want to expand?
Yeah, if it was triangular shaped, like other reports and stuff that I've seen about it, other people that I know in the military as well, like from what they've known about the TR-3Bs, is that they are very silent, and there is no radiation kill like with a lot of other encounters, where people have gotten the radiation burns and stuff like that. So that sounds pretty accurate as to maybe that's that kind of a craft, because I know the message on there was supposedly from humans in the future. That's what a lot of different sites say. And then I looked at the translation, and the triangle with the circle, or the circle with the triangle, is a sacred geometrical symbol that is used a lot throughout the galaxy and the universe and all that stuff. So I was just thinking, okay, if it was humans from the future, they would have access to the TR-3Bs, and that's why I was kind of thinking, what kind of craft was it? And if there was no radiation burns, that maybe it kind of lines up with that.
Yeah, well, the radiations is a nice subject by itself. That morning, disaster preparedness, Sergeant Nevels was ordered out by the base commander, Colonel Conrad, to investigate the landing site. He went out there with the radiation equipment. What they found is it was beta radiation, which actually your clothing could stop. That. But they said that's why the craft was warm to touch. And then there was other traces of beta radiation on the trees. The thing was, this is what Monroe told me, the guy that went out. We're friends, by the way, now, and he helped us write a book. And anyway, Monroe says, yeah, he says, with beta, he says, that only lasts like 24 hours and it's gone. He says, so he says, he says, it's lucky that he was sent out there immediately, like 3 hours later, to start, doing the investigation.
Yeah, I think I've heard
so
of that.
that
It's
was-
like a scalar type. It's like a scalar type wave. So it's more. I've heard of that before. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the
Thank
information.
you. Yep, thank you. Nice question. Yeah.
To touch on that, Jim, how thick was the craft? And do you think it was like a drone unmanned, or was it manned? Or, you know, you go inside the craft, you know, it's infinitesimal, like quantum constructs, you know, on that insight.
Well, it wasn't big enough for a human being. I mean,
Yeah. How thick was it?
Oh, well, that's it depends toward the front or toward the down the. I don't know what the front is. I don't know what the back. I'm just going to say the front was where the dorsal wasn't there. They had a dorsal that came up out of it, you know, a fin. That was in the back, and that was probably 6, 7 feet, you know, from the bottom to the top. You get toward the front of it, which I'll call the front because that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know for sure. I would say that is probably 2.5 feet, 3.
Okay.
You
So do you
know,
think it was manned, or do you think it was all drone type, you know, intelligence? ETs can zoom in, zoom out, you know, just intelligence
well,
is there.
I never ever thought it was man. Never.
Okay.
No, I had impressions at the time, which I put in, you know, which I turns out to be uh, turned out in the code. But the impressions I got, no, it was unmanned. It wasn't, and I purposely didn't call it a UFO. I never have. Uh, I call it craft unknown origin. That's
Right.
that's the most honest answer a observer can give. Otherwise, if you try to say it's this or that or alien, or that's just made up in your head. You don't know. You know what I mean?
Was there any sort of feeling? I mean, did you feel like your consciousness was altered, you know, to an altered state of consciousness? Because I had a craft that came to me and they altered my consciousness, you know, as to have some telepathy between. It was more of an empathetic telepathy.
That's what I'm calling impressions.
Okay.
We're just using different terminology.
Right. My craft that I saw, I said, I've never taken drugs like this before. And that was what hit me. I was just, my consciousness so expanded. I'm like, whoa. And then I got this empathetic to look up and I saw it. And then the voice, that wasn't even a voice. And the whole sentence structure came to me. It says, we just want to let you know that we're here.
Yeah, I think that is probably, you know what it is when we start talking about that, we at least it sounds like we don't have the words to describe it. You know?
Right.
It's a little hard. And I tell you what about after I wrote the Encounter book, and we were in between that, we had the CIA. Oh, they recontacted me and
Right.
they wanted to have a meeting, and I said sure. I says, well, I'll do it in a larger city, which is like Rockford, Illinois, and it's not far from here. And I says, okay, but I'm gonna have my lawyer there. I'm not gonna sit down with you. And I'll tell you who the person was. He says he's a former CIA, operative. That's Kit Green. I'll tell you right now, there's no such thing as former. All right. And we had a meeting with him that lasted 3 days. And one of the things he said about the phenomena, he said, that made a lot of sense to me is that the phenomena is able to, at a distance, make you think you see whatever you want to see. Okay. And the reason he was talking to me and the other witnesses out there is because we were inside the sphere of influence. And that actually, they said it'd be like, there it was, you seen it for what it was. And that's what he told me. Is it true? Hell, I don't know. I don't trust anything the guy says, okay? But that's what he said. You know, I know one thing, he wanted us to all get MRIs and all kinds of stuff. do testing out there at in San Francisco at whatever that place was. I can't remember the name of the Stanford. And I said, I ain't gonna do that. He said, well, you do that, I'll guarantee you full disability with the VA. Like, what the fuck? He said, what? I said, you know, ain't no fucking way I'm gonna do that. I was pissed. I'm sorry about swearing. It's women. I'm sorry.
We'll
Oh,
bleep it out.
It's the military coming back through.
anyway, that was it. So I'm not gonna fraud the government, but some people did, with the incident. So, and I don't mind saying who they are, because like I said, if you don't like it, sue me. They can't. It's true.
I was
They
going to say, Jim,
frauded the government.
I was going to say, Jim, did you have any other communications after, the years back, like they've kind of tapped in and said, hey, here's an update for you, Jim?
No,
No?
did not have that. No, well, after the incident, I was still at the base from 80 to 84. Then I was in Germany in 87, 88, and I was recontacted. They were just like checking to see if, I guess, how I was doing.
Right.
Then the Colonel Highbush, who I kept in contact with, he became the chief security police for Europe, U.S. Air Forces Europe, and I seen him several times, and we talked about that. Was the conversation, have you been recontacted with other people? Have you been interfered with other people? Are you having a hard time with? That was it, and we're talking about human factor. That's what they're worried
Right.
about. And one of the questions would come up is, has it been recontacted? And I said no. So.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Fred,
Fred, got to move on.
yeah, we need to
Oh.
move on. So just to be fair to
Sorry.
everybody that's looking to ask a question. So Jer, I am gonna have you go ahead, and I'm not sure who was in line next online. We'll take that question and then we'll come to Fargo.
All right, give me a second, because there was one that came in through chat.
There's a few, I think, that a couple at least that came in through chat.
Okay, well, this is from Fred. I assume, Fred, you had this question already answered? Fred's not going to talk to me anymore. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I just didn't tell
Okay.
Jim. I worked on the RC-135, so we had some UFOs chasing us back behind us, so you get the gig.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's you know what? I constantly, when I go places and talk, I will have former, and one of the places that there was a lot of them is in Ohio, near Columbus. I mean, I think half the audience was veterans, and I could have wrote a book of what they were telling me. I mean, they were, stuff happened when they were flying. They got a lot of people that with a lot of unexplained stuff they see. And it was pretty incredible, actually, to talk to those folks. It's hard to talk to them. We want to sit down and have you can't have 30 people at the dinner table. You know what I mean? But it was, they had the same things that they seen while they were working too. Yeah.
Well, I see Doug and Larry have had their hand up for a while. So Doug, why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
Okay.
Sorry about the delay.
Well, I've had an interest in UFO since I was a kid in the 70s and saw my first Strange Light and the old TV show In Search Of, where they talked about Medford, Minnesota, the incident they had there. But my last base that I was stationed at McGuire, it's about 2001. I was witness to a black triangle hovering over a certain portion of the base, and I'm not sure if it could have been that TR-3B that someone had mentioned before, but it didn't have any lights on the bottom of it. Unfortunately, it was obscured by treetops at times, and so I figured if we got around the backside of the trees, we'd see it better. But by the time we got there, the thing had zoomed off already. And so once I retired, I got to move over to Japan. My my first wife's hometown, and I did some research on UFOs. And what I first came across, I've never heard of the Rendlesham Forest until I did this research, and the first thing that popped up was this the left at Eastgate story. And I'm not quite sure what your relationship is with Larry Warren these days, but I don't know. Could it have been? I got the impression that he was being railroaded by the government trying to shut him down because
Uh,
he
the
talked too much.
the left to Eastgate is the cover story, and Larry has been found out. I mean, that he hoaxed his involvement, all of it.
Is that all? Mm.
Yeah, matter of fact, I feel sorry for his co-author, Peter Robbins. But yeah, he hoaxed every bit of it. He heard the cover story, and I explained that in the Enigma book how he found
Okay.
out.
All right.
It's in detail, um, and yeah, it's too bad. But that's why I wouldn't have wrote a book, the definitive book on it if it wasn't for people like that. I really appreciate those people
Yeah.
that did that.
Can't read your.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll definitely get the Pictures book up and read into that. I'm only 9 chapters into Left at Eastgate, that I just wasn't sure if he was giving an accurate account or not.
No.
And for myself, I'm still trying to track down a good uh, uh, hypnotist, or to do a regression, because I've had some missing time up in North Minneapolis, where I ended up 20 minutes down the road from where I was and don't have any idea how I got there.
That's troubling, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You make sure you go to like a doctor, like a psychiatrist or something like that, and have them do the regression. Don't get one of these people that with the UFO community. They'll sit there and they'll push you in the wrong direction and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I passed it
So
off to one of the MUFON investigators here in Minnesota. I think I can't think of what her name is now, but
oh, that's what I do all the time. I can't remember people's name. Well, I want to remember. Jeez. Like I can't remember the last name's even Anna. I don't even remember the last name. And she was driving me around up there for
but
the MUFON. I couldn't remember. I can't remember the
I'm a
last
little
name.
bit of a flight sim enthusiast, so once I started, getting more information about where Rendlesham was, the latest version of Microsoft's flight simulator is pretty accurate for ground visuals and stuff. So I had
Oh
to
yeah,
I had to zoom around Bentwaters and Woodbridge to get an aerial perspective, figure out where you guys were actually located. Pretty interesting.
yeah. Well, but we have maps and that, and they're in this book and the other book. I mean, you can look at them, and I tell you, if you're into research, I think the better way is just to do the ebook so you can actually see the stuff in color, and
Okay.
plus it's just easier on the eye if you do that. I mean, I uh, yeah, it's too bad about that. Well, it wasn't for Warren. I wouldn't have went over and did my first documentary. I mean, Colt talked me into it. So I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, that's too bad. It's a sad situation with him. The guy's got drug problems, and it's not
Hmm.
good. Yeah, that's too bad.
All right, we have another question
you.
here in Fargo.
Hi, Jim. My name is Paul. Thanks a lot for your presentation and for your time. It's all really great. Interesting to hear from you. I
Well,
remember
hello,
seeing.
Paul.
I remember seeing some information about the Rendlesham Forest incident on Unsolved Mysteries, like way back in the '80s. So I'm kind of familiar with the story.
I made them. I was in the Air Force, and that is interesting. When they aired that, my sister called me from like the United States. I was in Germany, and they said, they mentioned your name. And I said, well, I can't. It was still classified. And so I got a whole OSI, and they was supposed to show on AFN over the Armed Forces Network the next week, and they didn't put it on. And also, the film company deleted my name, so my name's not in that after. So if you heard my name in it, it's got to be prior to me or them selling it or something. Just some information.
I've read about the incident in a few books, through the years too, just to have an interest when I was young. My question for you is, I know you described the craft, or what you saw as a craft of unknown origin. Have you had any sightings or experiences with more crafts of unknown origin, or any missing time episodes, anything like that after the incident?
I've seen stuff I cannot identify in the air. Yeah, I've seen that. I tell you what, and that was prior to for all these drones that everybody's got. I mean, I see stuff that I just don't know. I said, well, I don't behave like an aircraft or something like that. But yeah, I guess that is a sighting. But that's all I've had.
Okay.
I haven't had any. I haven't known nothing like missing time or stuff.
Nothing like that. Okay. Good. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anybody,
All right, we'll move back over to Grand Rapids.
Anybody? Yeah, come on up.
Hello. Can you see me?
Yeah. Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I see. How you doing?
Okay, I guess I was going to ask you, what's your opinion of 3i Atlas?
Well, I've seen it on the TV and that and the internet. I think it's, I guess, a comet from outside our, solar system.
You know what happened a day or two ago, right? We're on full military
No.
alert. We're on full naval and Air Force alert worldwide. This is a global military alert worldwide.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
It was the Hegseth. He was on TV announcing it. That
Because of a comet? Is that what he said?
It's not a comet. So in 2017 we had Oumuamua. That was an interstellar object that is not a comet or a meteor. In 2019 we had Borislav, interstellar object, not a comet, not a meteor. Now this is called the third interstellar, 3i Atlas. They determined, Avi Loeb, astrophysicist from Harvard, thinks that its origin is Sagittarius, and it's being followed. It's being followed by a second one called Swan 2b. It's much bigger than 3i Atlas, which is the size of Manhattan. Its tail has split into 3 different sections. It has changed directions several times. It emits a pulse from its tail every 17 minutes as on clockwork. Every 17 minutes. It sends out pulses every 13 seconds that are also registered in our oceans. So it's sending out humming pulses that is found in our oceans. It's going to go so close to Mars, they think that it could be pulled into Mars with Mars' gravitational field. But Avi Loeb thinks it may be a terraforming object. It's emitting a lot of carbon dioxide and magnesium. And it doesn't have the signature of rock, it has the signature of metal. And they say
nickel, right? Nickel.
They say there's hollow spots within it. So Avi Loeb is.
How do they know that?
I
mean, come on.
I don't know. They have
a long ways away.
If I can interject here for a moment. So that actually sounds very interesting. So tell you what we can do. Jared and I can look further into it. It doesn't sound like Jim knows a whole lot about the details, and that's okay. But we'll look more into it, and we'll do an update at our next meeting.
Well, you got to know it's going to hit Mars on October 3rd.
Okay.
Better
Well,
Mars, better,
punch-
better Mars than Earth.
It'll
You
be
know?
Yes.
it'll be a 60 kilometer crater that's 5 kilometers deep.
well,
I'm
that
sure.
that will be a challenge. Do you have any questions regarding the Rendlesham incident?
No, I don't have anything, but I think this thing, what we're going to notice here coming, is probably going to be one of the largest events involving aliens that we've ever seen,
No.
because we've never have seen a supernova except once a year. We've seen 2 supernovas in 2 days, one from Centauri, one from Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is where they're saying that this 3I Atlas origin is from.
Well, I'll tell you.
So thank you.
Tell you what, we will see what we can find out, and we will try and update the group at our next meeting, provided that we're all still here. But I know we
Okay.
have other questions.
All right.
We have other questions, and we're running out of time with Jim. So we're going to move on to Larry. Larry has been patiently there with his hand up. Are you able to unmute yourself, Larry?
Yeah,
There we go.
I think I did.
Go ahead and
I
ask
can
your
hear you.
question.
Hi, Jim.
Hello, Larry.
And Annie's still on my screen. Okay, anyhow. Thank you very much for coming to our meeting. What I would like to ask you is, there's been some reports of that you received telepathically some ones and zeros from this UFO, or whatever you call it. And you wrote all these ones and zeros down in your notebook. Is that a true report or not? I didn't know if it was true or not.
It's true.
It's true, huh? And what were all these ones? What did all the ones and zeros? Well, I heard that they were decoded into some ASCII.
I don't know about this stuff. Okay, this stuff is computer stuff. I don't know. I have other people that tell me what the stuff is. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know. I think it's computer language in it, ASCII or something.
All
like
that stuff should be in your in that book, right?
It is. Gary covered that in there. And I'll tell you what, Gary in the epilogue's 60 pages long. He did that, and then it talks about all that. So I'm not an expert on it. I don't know. All I can do is guess, and I don't think you guys want me to guess on what. All I can say is, yeah, that happened. I wrote them down. And you starting to analyze, I can't. I'm sure there's somebody in that audience knows a lot more than me about that. So
Okay, well, that's interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
Sorry,
good.
can't.
That's good. I mean, I didn't know if it was true or not. It seems kind of odd that they'd send you a bunch of ones and zeros instead of some English or something, or
Well,
Russian language.
do you know who Do you know who Dr. Ron Mellon is?
Name doesn't
No.
ring a bell. No.
He's a physicist, and his whole work in his professional life is on studying time travel. Okay, and he says the most likely way they would communicate from the future would be binary code.
Oh, really?
Yes. So they probably still speak English in the future, is my guess.
All right. Well, thanks.
No, I'm
Thanks,
thinking
guys.
be
We ready to move
future
on
people.
to
I still don't see
Okay.
how anybody can travel backwards in time.
They can't. It was a drone. It was a drone.
They need the
You know?
atoms. They need the atoms in the future and the same atoms in the past to go backwards in time.
Well, it's interdimensional travel, maybe. You know, that's what time travel is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
So
don't
we got,
know. I don't know because you're getting into a lot of stuff with theories. It's just that we have information that has come through that's in that book has been backed up by people that says it's not a theory. This is why. And if you want to read that, that's fine. If you believe it, you don't believe it, anything like that happened, that's fine. You know, it's fine with me. I don't care.
so we have another
But I
question
appreciate
here, Fargo.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
So the question is, it's been 45 years since that incident. How do you think that being involved in that incident has changed your life?
Oh my God. Oh,
Sorry, I know
wow.
that's hard.
Well, it changed my life. There's no doubt about that. I mean, here I am 45 years later. And that was, oh man, that's a tough question. It, I mean, it did things like, it changed my, well, I'm not going to be able to answer that. I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yes,
It
it
changed it
is.
though. It changed it because I went and then, you know, I was career Air Force. Then I got out and went back to school, became HR director. Um, and that gave me time to do things. So I could retire early. And when I retired early, I says, I'm going to do as much research as I can. So it's affected me. I mean, I'm still messing around with this. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing a Zoom with you. I mean, why? There's nothing financial in it for me, but it's just like it does me good to talk about it. And it's also, you know, the thing is, I'm trying to learn. I like I said with the Rendlesham, I either know the answer, don't know the answer, or wish I knew the answer. And most of it's the wish I knew the answer. And I just hope that when I'm at doing a podcast or something like that or an event, that I'll have another person that tells me particulars that only I know, and I can sit down and talk with them. And believe me, I have stopped and said, okay, we're going to have breakfast together and we're going to talk about this. And because there are a lot of people that I've encountered that have this, have their own version of what happened on their incident. And I think I don't think it can do anything but to affect you your whole life because you still you see something that is unexplainable, uh, and then you asking when you tell the story, ask people for a leap of faith. That's what you're doing. Oh, well, you don't have to have the leap of faith. I mean, you just if you don't agree, you know, I don't mind. You know, I'm to the point now that it's 45 years later. There's not a whole lot you can say to me if you don't agree with me. It don't bother me. It don't. It's your opinion, and you have every right to say whatever you guys want. But it does. Um, Rendlesham affected me. I mean, it was, and I'll tell you, it's not just me. Monroe Nevels, who was out there investigating the incident, Charles Halt, the deputy base commander. I mean, we can go through a list. They have the same drive I do, how it changed their life. I mean, but I don't think it's to a negative. I just think it was. I think there was better things I could do in my life than to concentrate on that. I don't know.
So that leads into part B of that question. If you could today say, you know, I just want to go back in time and erase this, so I never experience it, I don't remember it, I just want to go back and get rid of all of that. put yourself in a different place. Maybe you were sick or something, pretending to be sick or whatever, so that none of it ever happened and you didn't have any memory of it. Would you do that?
Yes, in a heartbeat. I tell you what, it was I was asked for that Christmas season by my flight sergeant. Says, "Do you want to work Christmas or do you want to work New Year's?" I gave him the answer in 3 seconds. That's all the time I spent on it. I went, "I'll work Christmas," and it's probably the worst decision I made in my life, I guess. Yeah, I would like anybody else to be out there and like that, but I think I handled it really differently than anybody else would have handled it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I handled it my way. The only thing that kept me grounded was the checklist running in my head, So hopefully I answered that. I don't know. That's a hard question. Oh,
It is a hard question.
wow.
Do we have any questions in Grand Rapids?
Yep. Any more? Okay. Well, actually, I got a question for you, and this would be an easy one, relatively easy one. But I'm gonna tell you a story first. So you made a decision in 3 seconds that changed your life completely. I did a coin flip with a friend of mine, and I actually ended up on the other side of that. So we were both crew chiefs riding in the back of Huey's. We're out in Yuma, Arizona, late 80s. We had 2 aircraft. We decided, who's going to be in what aircraft. So we flipped the coin. Well, he went in the one aircraft. I went in the other. His aircraft crashed. Everyone was okay, but his aircraft crashed. Mine didn't. So it was a flip of the coin. So anyhow, to the other point, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when we talked about this before, you're talking about when you were in your logbook, you write everything down. You timestamp it all too, right? So when you were slogging in towards the craft, trying to get through all that muddy water or whatever that you were talking about, from what I understand, there was a time difference for when everything stopped, right? From your watch to what the dispatcher, your base was saying?
Right, 45 minutes.
Okay, so then when you were writing stuff down on your notes, were you still writing time off of your watch?
I was, yeah, I was. I never thought about that. I guess, yeah, it was.
Okay, so that was just another layer that you could actually probably, maybe not now, it's 45 years later, but something back then that you might have been able to go back and kind of correlate between the two.
Yeah, but like I said, the area around that craft was different than area 20 feet out from the craft. I don't know how to explain that. And yeah, that's one of the things I wish I knew the answer to. Shit, I don't know that one.
That's
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got tough ones, but you're right. A lot of times we make decisions in a matter of seconds, and they're life altering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Do we have anybody else online?
I don't see anybody online, but I can only see some of the people that we have online. So,
okay, so all the chat is all good. So you guys got anything in?
one additional question here in Fargo. So, Jim, the question is, do you have any psychic abilities that you think are a result of your experience? And if so, or if no, did you have any psychic abilities prior to or since your experience?
No, I don't think I need to have that burden either. That would be a burden. No, I haven't had that at all before or after. I don't think my mind's in tune for that kind of stuff. I think I tell you, the only people I've ever seen that have psychic abilities are females, women. They have psychic abilities. I don't.
I won't ask you any questions about that.
Oh, Lord.
Any other questions here in Fargo? Well, I have a whole bunch, but I won't keep you, Jim. I just want to say thank you so much for talking with us today. It's a real treasure. I think most people don't know you haven't been doing any Zooms or presentations or anything for quite a while, and you were gracious
That's
enough
right.
to come and speak with us today. So we
Well,
really
I
appreciate
tell
it.
you what, it's you and Jared. You guys are, I liked you, both of you guys when I met you, and because you're honest, you're straight, and that's nice that's refreshing in this,
Yes,
yeah,
Yes.
it's just,
absolutely.
yeah, and yeah. So I really appreciate both of you. It's nice to see that you guys are in good health and that. So.
Good to see you too, man.
Good. All right.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you very much for
We're
the
done.
opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeff.
I'll be
Thank you.
connecting with you via email soon about a couple of questions. That's
Yes, ma'am.
a side note. So
You may.
bye, Jim.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jim.
A late one. Give her a shot. Kind of like a cross between Bubble Up and a ginger ale. You're still here. Well, you made it to the end, so hey, please like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Trying to grow our channel. We can use all the help we can get. Thanks. Now, just watch the next video that came up wherever it came up. Thanks. Oh, Mr. Stanton Friedman, we miss you.